finished reading A New Coat for Anna, and I have to prepare myself for book club. So I need to answer these two questions and write my thinking on my think mark and provide evidence so that I'm ready to discuss my thinking with my book club members. So the first question asks is, what is one character trait you notice about Anna's book that is the same throughout the book? Provide 3 supporting facts from the beginning, middle, and end to support my thinking. Okay, so I know in the beginning, let me think. I know in the beginning of the book that Anna doesn't have a coat. She needs a new coat, and Anna's mother wants to buy her a new coat, but she doesn't have any money, and the stores don't have any coats because there was a war. So Anna's mother, I think, she's really determined to get her daughter a coat. So that's one thing I'm going to write down. She's determined. And I'm going to write that on page 3, I see that she knows a farmer where she can get some wool. So she's going to go visit that farmer and see if she can get some wool that maybe she can then make a coat for her daughter. So she's going to take something with her because she doesn't have any money, and she's going to hope that perhaps the farmer is going to trade with her. So she's determined to see if the farmer will trade something with her. So she goes to the farmer, and he says, yeah, I'm going to go, I'll trade you a gold watch, but you have to wait until the spring. So I kind of think that Anna's really patient here. Anna's mother is really patient here, and that she's going, so I'm going to write that down on page 5, and that she's going to wait until spring when the farmer's sheep are ready to have their wool cut. And then she can take the wool to someplace else. So that's the beginning of the book. And then in the middle of the book, I remember, oh yes, I remember that she goes to this old lady's house on page 11. There it is, on page 11. And she takes her big bag of wool, and she still doesn't have any money, but she has this beautiful lamp. So she's determined again to trade this beautiful lamp so this old lady will spin the wool into yarn. So she's determined again. That's just like in the beginning of the book. But oh no, just like in the beginning of the book, she has to wait a long time because the old woman has very stiff fingers, and her fingers don't work very fast. So she has to wait until the cherries are ripe on the trees until she can come back and get her wool that is spun into yarn that she can then have made into her coat. So again, she's going to be patient, and she's determined in the middle of the book and the beginning of the book. Now I wonder if the same thing happens at the end of the book. I'm going to have to think again and see if I can find a place that will show that she's patient and she's determined. And you know, I think there is another place, because she has to go and take, after she boils the wool and turns it to a red color, she has to take and find someone who will make the wool cloth into a coat for Anna, and she finds the tailor. And again, she's determined on page 18 to have that coat made. She trades that beautiful teapot. I'm going to write that down. And then and Anna's mother has to be very patient again, because it takes a long time to make a coat, and the tailor wants to do a good job. So Anna's mother waits until the tailor is finished before she's able to actually have the coat for her daughter. And that doesn't happen until the very end of the book. So yes, those are 3 good places for me to talk about with my book club members. Now I'm going to work on my next question.
So the character trait about Anna's mother that I noticed throughout the book is patience. Because at the beginning she waited until spring for the sheep to be sheared, and then in the middle she waited for the cherries and the lingonberries to be ripe, and by the end almost a whole year had passed by the time they were ready to get to the tailor.
Huh. Can I build on what you said there?
Yeah.
I agree that she is patient. When I first read it, I thought she was very resourceful. Resourceful.
Yeah.
She, because she figured out through the whole book, every page was an example of her figuring out a way to get the things that she needed. And trading up the whole time. So I thought that was pretty good.
If I can build on what you said, I noticed that where she asked Anna what color coat she would like. And I was wondering, like, how can you choose the color? And then she figured out a way to make it red. That's an example of being resourceful.
So I got an idea totally different from you all of what Anna's mom, her character trait was. That I was thinking the whole time how generous she was, because, you know, she was giving up things for these little pieces of the coat, and, you know, they all seemed like really important things, like the grandfather's watch, you know. To me, like, I would think that would be really hard, like, you know, something special and hard to give up. And then the teapot, and what else did she give up? I'm trying to remember.
That necklace.
The necklace, yeah. The coral necklace, or garnet necklace.
Yeah.
You know, and it seems like they don't have a lot of money as it is, and you know, and just like only a few little treasures, and for her to, you know, it kind of goes with being resourceful too, but I just thought that was just so generous of her to give up these family heirlooms to be able to get this coat made, you know.
Well, I felt the same way that you did. I agreed that she was giving. I thought, how, you know, here it is this mother that has no money to provide her kid with a coat, but she's willing to give up all of her treasures that she's inherited from her family in order to make this coat for her daughter that she's going to treasure. So,
and then the whole time, you know, I'm reading that thinking about that question and about how generous she is. And then at the very end, it just sort of like added to my thinking, because she had them all over for the Christmas party, for that, you know, to thank everybody, and she made them cake, and you know, and I just thought that was really, really generous.
It was.
That part of the book reminds me of before the winter break, when we read the book about the little girl who always saw the man outside with the monkey, and the mom never wanted to interact, but in this story, the little girl said, "Can we invite everybody too?" And I was like, "Oh, they're both really sweet."
So could somebody help me understand what the word card means? On the page in the story where the farmer showed Anna, it says it showed Anna how to card the wool. I was confused about that.
Is that the page that it's on?
Yeah, this is the page. What does that mean?
So I mean, I know I have animal background, a lot of experience with farm animals. So when I first read it, I went, how to card the wool, but then I just looked over at the picture and kind of used that as my visual and said, oh, he's obviously cutting the wool off of the sheep. And so it's just another word for shearing it, or...
Well, I think, though, I disagree with you on that, because, so at first he was shearing the sheep's wool, because he says, like, he sheared the sheep's wool, and she was asking, like, does it hurt? And then he was like, no, it's like getting a haircut. And then he had enough wool to make a coat. I'm on page 9. And the farmer showed Anna how to card the wool. And then he says, it's like untangling the knots in your hair. So I think it's more like brushing the
That makes
wool.
sense. I should have read further.
Or combing, maybe. Because
Yeah.
actually I see, maybe that is the picture that goes with that.
Yep. So maybe
Part of the word.
I should have read a little further and looked at the other pictures
Well,
too.
I can
that
see
help
how
out.
you get that, but it just, you know, yeah.
So
right
this is
here
cutting,
he's
shearing, and that means cutting.
Here,
Carding means like brushing or combing.
And then they
Never
still
heard
had
that
to
word
before. They had to.
Not in that way. Yeah, I hadn't either.
I thought it was really neat how they picked the lingonberries and or lingonberries and dyed the wool. I was like, that was really. It really made me appreciate the you know, process of making clothes. And, you know,
Oh my
It's
gosh,
a lot
true.
more than just going to the store and picking it up. There's
Yeah.
a
They don't
little
have-
background to
they don't
it.
have the luxury to do that in this
Must
story.
have taken a lot of
Yeah.
berries to
Yeah,
dye
you're
that.
right.
So, and this story reminded me too, just one last thing, of a book that I like is the Rag Coat. You know that book?
I was reminded of that as
Okay.
well. Yes.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that.
Yes.
Yes.
They're both very special
Good.
kids.
They are.